Hi everyone, and welcome to the Noach edition of Kofman Parsha. This week, Amalya will discuss Shabbos and Noah and the mystical relationship between the two. Sonja will talk about the dual nature of rain, destructive and yet life-giving. Ben will talk about God's positive intent towards us, even when times are challenging. And I, Len, will talk about the Tower of Babel and how it's really a story about not limiting ourselves. Thank you, and have a great Shabbos.
Hi, my name's Amalya, and I want to talk about Parsha Noah and Shabbos. There was this really interesting thing that a mystical Jewish source says, that Noah and Shabbos both have to do with rest or Manucha. If you look at the Hebrew letters, they both have the same Nun and Ches. So the name Noach is connected to Shabbos because Shabbos is the day of rest. But it goes deeper than just that. Parsha Noah and Shabbos both have the power to rescue. Noah rescued his family from the Mabel, the flood, but Shabbos rescues us from the flood of the week. All week we are busy working, doing stuff. For me it's school and homework, but for everyone it's different. But we can feel like we are drowning in things we have to do. But on Shabbos, we stop and we let the waves of rest come in. Even the normal things we do on Shabbos, like eating, drinking, become holy because we're doing it for Hashem. On Shabbos, we stop worrying about all the things we need to do, and we remember that Hashem made the whole world in 6 days. To help us, of course, Hashem can help us with our stuff too. What we can do to feel that rest inside, that's the best kind of Manucha. So my challenge for this week is to do one thing to make you Shabbos feel extra special. Maybe make something or buy some yummy food for Shabbos, or take a nap or let your parents rest while you play quietly. Try to keep that feeling of Shabbos rest all week long. Thank you and good Shabbos.
This week's Torah portion, Noah, is about the flood story. It is a story of overwhelming survival. Noah rebuilt the world, but he did so only after losing everything and everyone familiar. Imagine that. He was tasked with rebuilding the entire world after losing everything. He had built the ark for so long, knowing that he hadn't convinced anybody to change their ways or join him. He lost all his friends, the people he knew, everything familiar. Though he may not have wanted those people around, the cost was high. Noah didn't immediately embrace the new world. Instead, he sought an escape. He looked for something to feel numb to the horrors he witnessed, planting a vineyard and growing grapes and having wine. This was the isolation and escape due to his loneliness. Now let's take a minute and step forward to present day. We just started the prayer for rain last week, asking Hashem to bring life-giving water to the land of Israel. But why do we ask for rain, given that our current Torah portion is about a world destroyed by it? This link is something to ponder. We can pray without the fear of destruction because God promised Noah he would never bring a flood like that again. This promise allows us to embrace water, realizing it is life. Without it, the land of Israel would become a desert. God moved from utter destruction by water to promising safety and life, which allows us to pray for rain with a closeness and respect. We ask for rain not because God has forgotten, but because it shows that we respect the longing for prayer. This transition from fear to faith resonates deeply with me today.
Well, reading through Parsha Noah, I found a weird pasuk. It is in Bereshit chapter 6, pasuk 18, and it is. But I'll start just as I'll establish my covenant with you. What's a bit weird because earlier it never discusses a covenant that Hashem makes with Noah or anything. So I was looking through some Rishonim, and the Ibn Ezra gives 2 answers. The first one is just pretty simple, that their covenant was just Hashem made one with Noach, but it never said it, and the covenant is, I won't destroy you or your family. But a nicer, more thoughtful idea the Ibn Ezra gives was that it's talking about the covenant. I'll establish my covenant with you is the covenant after the flood and after everything. With the rainbow, where Hashem says he'll never destroy the earth again. What is a nice idea where Hashem, even though he knows he's going to destroy the world, even though he's going to punish all the humans, he knows that he doesn't want to do this, and it's not a good thing, and he wants to stop it, but he has to do it. What is a nice idea that even though life may be going bad to you, and you may think Hashem's punishing you for things, he doesn't really want to do it. He's doing it because he has to make your life feel better, and make your life better, and to be a better person.
Hi, I'm Len, and for years I thought I knew the story of the Tower of Babel. It's a classic tale of human arrogance and potentially a failure of unity. But this year, a close reading of the text, especially some commentators, changed my entire understanding. This story isn't about arrogance, it's about stagnation, and why God insisted we leave our comfort zone. When you look at it, the text is strange. The people are unified and have one language. They decide to build a city and a tower, their stated goal? To make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered. The HaKodesh, a 17th century commentator, argues that the tower's real sin was not its height, not even its intent towards God, but rather its function in the community. The tower was at the town's center and served as a permanent visible landmark. No matter how far anyone traveled, they could always see it. It set a maximum distance you could ever live from the city. In a pre-GPS world, the tower was their perpetual beacon, their comfort zone, their anchor to safety. A midrash explains that God had already divided the world into three parts: oceans, uninhabited lands, and habitable land that he wanted the peoples to settle in. The problem wasn't the tower's ego, it was that the tower was preventing God's plan to fill the earth. To solve this, God didn't just knock down the tower. He confused their language. This created friction, tension, and misunderstanding. The social friction ultimately became the impetus that made people want to leave the city and disperse through the world. God used language as a tool to complete his goal. This interpretation works on two very important levels. First, it perfectly aligns with the core tension of the narrative, dispersal. Initially, we hear how the people feared it, how God commanded it, and the rest of the story is the consequences of this conflict. Second, it ties the narrative to the surrounding stories in the Torah. Immediately before Babel, God commands Noah, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth. Filling the earth requires spreading out. And immediately after this, we meet Avraham Avinu, who is told, Lech Lecha, literally, go out from your home, your birthplace, and your father's house, to the land that I will show you. Another story of someone being dispersed. The Tower of Babel story, therefore, gives us a profound lesson. The people were safe, unified, and comfortable, but they were stuck. They were avoiding their potential by refusing to spread. God's message is that there is a natural human tendency to cling to the familiar. We love the safety of our physical home, our intellectual echo chambers, or our spiritual routine. But God's command to fill the earth with goodness and knowledge requires us to heed Avram's call. We must embark on our own personal journey, a physical, spiritual, or intellectual one, that takes us beyond the sight of our own safe tower. This is where true growth begins.